Before you go to the polls in this year's general election, we think there are a few things you ought to know. Now, you'd be right to assume that what you read in the papers is the truth. How could it be anything else? But the real truth is the media has a dark secret. Our most popular papers, like the Daily Mail and the Sun, are owned by billionaires who support the Conservative Party and gain financially from their success. And if we, as humans, are repeatedly told the same messages enough times, we begin to believe them, even if they're not true.
The strong and stable leadership of a Conservative government with a strong and stable government.
You might say it's clever advertising, but really, it doesn't tell us anything. It seems the Conservatives have made this election all about Brexit. And yes, it's undeniably important. Labour also respects the referendum result. But what about everything else? The NHS, jobs, education. What kind of country are we actually voting for if we choose to vote Conservative? Now, most of us want the same things in life. We want to live in a safe place with good jobs, friendly people, and good public services like health and social care that will look after us until we're old and in need of a little help. But since the Conservatives came into power in 2010, we've had the longest squeeze in living standards and wages. Our public services are failing because of cuts and underfunding, and we have an ever-increasing gap between the rich and the poor. This economic model is called austerity, and it's a Tory favourite. Right now, over a quarter of all children in the UK are living in relative poverty. Homelessness is at an all-time high, and record numbers of people are using food banks just to survive. The NHS is at breaking point. GP and A&E waiting times are getting longer, some hospitals have been forced to close, cancer targets are being missed, and people are waiting longer and longer for their operations, often in pain. And it's not because there isn't enough money for our NHS. The UK has the 6th largest economy in the world. It's because the government is chronically underfunding it. And it's clear that the Conservatives want to fully privatise it, just like in the US. Heck, Jeremy Hunt, our health secretary, co-wrote a book about this very plan. And this is the same tactic they used to sell off our railways and energy suppliers. And we know how well that went. Expensive fares and terrible service. The Conservatives also have a cavalier attitude towards your safety. Cuts to the police and the fire service mean many crimes aren't being investigated properly, and some house fires aren't being extinguished quick enough. Fire deaths have risen by 21% as a result. And it's the same story in our education system. School budgets are being cut, class sizes are on the rise, and teachers are being laid off or quitting due to the increasing stress and pressures. One issue on many people's minds is that of immigration. But on this, the Conservatives have only unrealistic targets and broken promises, and no plan to end the low-wage economy which causes division in our society. And while some in the media blame immigration for all our problems, the super-rich continue to hide their money offshore and avoid paying taxes. Taxes which could be used to fund our public services properly. And whilst we're all mad at each other, we're not mad at the people making all of the money. It's really that simple. And if you ever wondered why the media is so anti-Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party, well, because he threatens the elite by proposing increased taxes on the super-rich and on big corporations. It's in their interest to persuade you not to support him. And finally, what about climate change? The biggest threat facing our society and the world. Well, Theresa May has closed our government's climate change department. But whatever your opinion of Jeremy Corbyn or Theresa May, remember, you are not voting for a person in this election. You're voting for a party and what they stand for. So choose a party that best represents you. The Conservatives can only promise more of the same. A failing NHS, cuts to schools and the police, and a society that caters for the few, not the many. But if you feel that society should be fair, that there should be opportunity and education for everyone, if you value the NHS, a quality health service that is free and will be there for you and your family, then please consider voting for the Labour Party, who promise to protect and support these very things. And if you're worried about immigration, Labour have plans for that too, like cracking down on foreign low-wage employment and reducing immigration to areas most affected by it. We have an opportunity on June the 8th to vote for a different kind of politics and to choose a new direction for our country. And if you agree with us and enjoyed this video, Please share it with your friends and family. Show it to your nan. And together, we can make it happen.